Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. We want to welcome our millions of viewers worldwide. We also want to welcome Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Henry. And Mrs. Jackie Williams.
Hi, everyone.
Let's talk about the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is in turmoil. Dozens of priests have been identified as pedophiles, inflicting pain and suffering to thousands of our nation's children. But it's not just confined to the United States, it's happening worldwide. Why are these priests being protected by the Catholic Church? They should be going to prison. Jackie?
I struggle with this, but I really believe this is a biblical issue. And the reason why I would qualify this as a biblical issue because we are sexual creatures. I mean, we were made to procreate the world, and so we are sexual creatures. When you take someone out of their natural state and put them in a confinement of a job or position, they have suppressed issues. And I think, as you know, hindsight is 20/20. As you go back and you think about it, you know, we were made, you know, when he made Adam and Eve, and then, you know, they had children, and that's what we are. We are sexual beings. And when you take that main source from us, I think you suppress issues, and then inappropriately we act out. Even not saying everybody does it, because some people are stronger than others, but it's a natural part of us. That's who we are. We are natural beings. And so I think that's what, you know, you can't have something that doesn't line up with our purpose. Our purpose was to have children and multiply on the earth. So if you're not allowing them to do that, then that is a suppressed feeling that you're not able to exercise, which might cause you to inappropriately filter it other places. Well, okay, so I know that you go, and I know the main priest will change rules in the summer, you know, whenever they meet. I don't know, they have some type of conference, the Roman Catholic have some type of conference, and they change rules. I really believe in order to remedy this situation, instead of transferring the priest as they violate and push it under the rug and act as though it didn't happen, I think we need to address them not being able to have families. This could be a desire that they're just not meeting, and maybe it's not for everybody to not have a mate and not have that, you know, fulfillment in that area, and maybe it will redirect this negative energy into positive energy. That's just my view.
And also, too, sex is a natural, if you will, fulfillment of certain needs. Okay, procreation. All right, bonding, and I'm sure that there's a host of other things that that come with that. I'm certainly not an expert. I'm not a psychologist or a social worker or anything of that nature, but it's just a natural thing. I think that should occur, and to your point, Jackie, I think that the church should change some of its rules in terms of letting these priests, if they so choose, want to marry, okay, and have families, because that's the way the world revolves. You know, it's with families, and maybe that will help a whole lot of this pedophilia. But it's not just priests that are pedophiles. It's a whole lot of other folks too that are, you know, that you see this all the time on TV and in the news, in the newspaper. I know when I was working for the state in corrections, I mean, you'd be amazed at the homosexuality, okay, because you put a whole bunch of men together, you're going to have it. You put a whole bunch of females together, you're going to have it. Okay? I can't say that, what is that old saying, different strokes for different folks. I've never never been involved in that kind of lifestyle. But there are a lot of people that are, and what do we do? What do we do with them? Hitler killed all of them, but that's not what we do here in the United States, and I would never suggest anything of that nature. All right, they say that there's different treatments. Maybe there is. All right. Every once in a while, you'll hear about they go to some kind of session to have them disavow whatever their tendencies are. I don't know if it works or not, but that's just the way life is. Okay, that doesn't mean that one has to follow that, that lifestyle or not. Henry, what do you? I know you've got a lot to say on this.
Well, I think Jackie's right that human beings are sexual creatures, just like all animals are sexual creatures. That's how they procreate. That's one of those reasons that we live, is to create our future. But I think there are two sides to this question. There's a public who wants revenge or condemnation of priests who have sexual activity with boys. And I'm not sure, you haven't said anything about girls, and I don't know how many interface with girls or women. Mm-hmm. But that's an ugly act for the way some of us who are secular, not religious, look at this. And as we discuss this issue, I think that there is the intent of the people who want this discussed over these stations and platforms. They want some kind of resolution to the problem. Mm-hmm. This has gone on for thousands of years.
Very long.
And I think that people want to see it at least make some imprint to curb the activity in our generation.
Right.
So that boys are not subjugated, so that people are not go through all of their life with this feeling of being violated.
Right.
And I think that that's what comes out of this event after many years. And they don't want it, they want to stop it. And the government's responsibility here is to minimize the impact of priests who do this. Some of it's going to get past us because we won't see it, won't observe it, won't recognize it when people tell us that. And we need to talk about, well, how do we mitigate it? And you started off with a good point. Priests need to have a way of having, as Ron said, satisfy their needs, their sexual needs. And I think that that's correct, unless they are desexed before they go into the thing, into priesthood. And that's not a way that human beings look at things.
Not happily.
Yeah. So we need to respond to the people who see this as a violation.
I mean, and why don't you, like I said, I don't know what it's called. It's called something in the summer, Henry. I'm not sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It's some type of conference they have in the summer, and the Pope comes there, and they meet and they change rules. What is that called?
Is that the Ecumenical Council?
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But my point is, when you have a problem, you got to go back to the root of the problem. Like you said, it's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. Well, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So if you think because I hit you on the wrist and say, you leave those boys alone, well, what have you given me as an out? I mean, because I'm trying to serve in my capacity and I'm not making amends. So don't think I'm on team of molestating boys. I'm not. I'm saying, let's talk about it. So if I'm telling you I have a desire and you keep ignoring my desire, I'm going to act out. This is what's going on. They're acting out. So just like you meet in the summer and have that conference, you need to discuss with these priests, what are your issues that you're having? Are you finding it hard to be in a room with boys? And the reason why I'm using boys is because you don't hear a lot about the girls.
Well,
And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think the number of boys supersedes the boys.
Well,
but it does happen to girls too. Okay?
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
And I recall in my earlier days in working that I worked at a monastery, all right, a converted monastery, all right, and when they were getting ready to open it up, okay, for other services, there was priests there and nuns, and they busted through a wall, and there was a number of small skeletons.
Oh yeah, I heard about
there.
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I didn't see it myself. This is what I heard. Okay, and I would think that it would be true, but I have no evidence of that. But so if there was only priests and nuns there, then common sense would say, well, something happened, all right? So to cover up the embarrassment, these babies were murdered.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other word for it, okay?
So that contradicts. So this is what I'm saying. When you don't fix stuff and you start to hide stuff, you're not healing. You're just hiding. But when you start to heal things, you have to confront things as they are. And so I have heard that story, and that's funny when you were saying that, I was remembering. I've heard stories of skeletons being inside of those places all the time because, again, it's a natural part of us. We're sexual beings. So if you put us in an environment and we're together and we have desires, things are going to happen. Regardless of what my commitment to God is, I'm still human, and He knew that. He knew that we were human. So I don't think we have a plan for error. You know what I mean?
You know, when you look at how we live as human beings, we popularize people who are aggressive, authoritative, demanding. Those are generally what we look at our rulers for. There has to be some kind of an opposite to a person who exercises this kind of power of life and death over people. And then came the concept of the priest, or the pope, the priest, I think it is, who had great temperament, kind, loyal, instructive, gave good instructions for how we should live our lives. And we don't want to take that away from a priest because they are that way. And we do get tired of oppressive leaders who are that way. And so priests have this aura of being opposite profile of a strong leader. And in that temperament, they are vulnerable to what they do. And they can do things like that and get away with it because of this belief system that we have. And I may be just talking BS here, but it sounds good to me. And we should not try to take that away from priests. That's who they are. And
when
many
you say
of them
take what from them?
Their desire to be passive and desire to be less authoritative, less commanding, less ruthless in their life.
And I'm
but
in agreement.
Under that tent,
right,
is where he's vulnerable.
But everybody is vulnerable. Everybody have a level of vulnerability. Everybody does. But back to your point, we need to give them a pass and say, it's okay
this is what we're
for you to
toward.
be a leader.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to be a leader but still want to be held at night. It's okay to be a leader and still want to have somebody that you can have pillow talk with that's appropriate. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Because as a leader, you are lonely. Because everybody, you can't have everybody everybody like, here she goes, the front row of your life. You can't have everybody in the front row of your life when you are serving in certain capacities, because you have to be careful, because everybody don't mean you well.
You know, I think that we're emerging on the same platform. Now we can have the discussion of how far should we go? What kind of recommendations should people give to those people who have to deal with these issues of moderating the attitudes and actions of priests.
But not just priests. You have nuns who
yeah,
come in
yeah,
and you know and they dedicate their whole lives. And I have a coworker right now that went to a Catholic school, and he said he learned so much from them. So it's not that you take away their value, you just give them a chance to live.
Yeah.
And you know, they said there's nothing new under the sun, and then as we know to do better, we do better. So if you know that this is suppressing things that we don't want to even deal with on a regular basis, then that means we need to have this conversation that maybe, you know, you can be a nun but still be able to have some type of social life so that you're able to be well-rounded, because you have to have you have to be able to level things out. If I'm all work, what it say, all work and no play, I mean, you know, you bring out unnatural features that we don't want to deal with.
See, we're getting closer to what the people out there want to hear. They want to hear. They don't want to see the clergy go the way it's still going today,
right.
or the way it's gone in the past. They want to see some changes.
Right.
And we're getting closer to, well, what kind of changes should we have? What should they mean to people going into priesthood? And how should people who aspire to go into priesthood aspire to?
And also be heard.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know the process of how you guys contact them when they're having this big meeting, but in my mind, I would see, in order to be proactive, I would submit letters and I would talk to people and have conversations about, these are things that I think would kind of take the black eye off of the Catholic Church right now, because right now you have a black eye. I mean, because it just keep the same situation, just keep rising up. I mean, every year you have different ones that rise up, and until it's all cleaned up, it's going to be a while before it's clear.
Yeah,
but still show people that you're in a path of correction, and you're not just holding on to, well, this is how it is. Well, evidently there's something wrong with the foundation of it.
Yeah.
Because if that's how it is, and we keep producing these same situations, evidently we need to go back to the foundation and change the foundation, and maybe we can produce something more positive.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there, and I hope that people are listening to what you're saying, because this is better than what we've heard in the past.
Yeah.
This will help us to...
Because nobody wants to deal with a molested child, whether it's your neighbor, because, you know, people molest, and what they tell us, I was reading about molestation, and what people do is they tend to practice what was done to them, even though they felt violated. They are offenders, you know, and as much as they hated it happening to them, before they know it, they're doing it to others if they don't seek the right counsel.
You know, whenever I go to a church, Catholic church, and watch them to go through the rituals, I love their rituals. With the boys doing the lighting of the candles and putting them away, and their readings and stuff like that. That's teaching them good clerical practices, and it's teaching them restraint. There are certain things that they shouldn't do, but underneath that is this occurrence where they could be potentially violated. And I love to hear boys who have not turned 11 or 12, where their voices have not changed, and they've changed these great melodious sounds and stuff. I think that we always want those to be part of our lives, our visions. Those of you who are familiar with the Catholic Church.
Well, that's the goal.
Not that it doesn't.
That's the goal. Yeah. But as a leader, this is where, let's go back, because you can put a lot of things under this umbrella as a leader. As a leader, we have a bigger responsibility. The Bible says, too much is given, much is required. So as a leader, you have a bigger responsibility than the average Joe. So as a leader, it's my responsibility. If I know I have children coming up under me at church, they dance for me, and I dance with them. So I am aware of my responsibility to them as well as their parents. They're trusting me. And this is going back to the root. They're trusting me to have their children grow in a way, but not to come and me damage them by them being in my presence. So we have to take a self-responsibility, you know, when we're leaders, and we need to understand that we affect people for a lifetime. And we want to make sure our encounter is a good one and not a damaged one where we need therapy the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I just hope that our discussion will generate favorable discussions among people at the dinner table and in the
because I
everyday
believe
lives.
in freedom of religion. Everybody sees things differently, and that's why this is America. It's because, like you said, you enjoy the rituals. You know, I enjoy hymns, I enjoy singing, I enjoy free worship, and that's not something common around outside of the United States. People have to hide Bibles, and I think it's a privilege to be in a place where we can freely do that, but we also have a responsibility to our children, to our parents, and to the parishioners.
Now, I think that we're talking we're talking what American people want to see us do, irrespective of their race, gender,
Yes.
or age, or anything else.
Yes.
The color, you know, they want to see us talk this way, so as they move ahead in their life appears to be worthwhile living.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm accepted.
Yeah.
Because a real friend or a real person of character can accept someone even though they have different views
Yes, sure.
or as different beliefs. I can respect your beliefs. I might not agree with your beliefs, but I can respect you and I can respect your beliefs without being disrespectful to you. And that's a piece that we need to keep talking about, because that's a piece that it seems like we struggle with. Because I disagree with you, I don't like you as a person. No, don't put a face on it.
Right.
I want every member of the audience to understand that we want change, and we want change for the better.
Yes.
And then we will aspire through conversations that we have and our actions, that we will encourage people to work toward that end.
Exactly.
So kids are not violated by priests or anybody.
Or anybody.
church.
And also we want to encourage to, you know, to have, Whoopi Goldberg said it the other day. She said there should be 3 people in your lives. And as parents, they encourage you to have your child have 3 people. If anything happens to them, if they're being bullied, if they're being sexually violated, or if anything is going on other than that, you should have 3 people that you can contact that will hold you and give you right direction.
Right.
3 people, and it doesn't have to be your parents. Unfortunately, we want it to be us, but if it's somebody that will help them, we need to bow to that person. So it should be 3 people. I repeat, 3 people that you have in your child's life that you encourage them, that they can have a conversation with, they can call in the midnight hour, and then they can discuss any type of violation.
We're going to change gears slightly on this topic. Thousands of alleged migrant and undocumented children have been moved in the middle of the night to tent cities on the Texas-Arizona borders. Many will never see their loved ones again. This is barbaric. This is not American. If these children were white, this would not be happening. A lot of these children have been violated by U.S. government employees, all right, in terms of sexual violations, and this is horrible. Any thoughts?
Well, Ron, I don't think your numbers don't look good. When you say thousands, we have no evidence that thousands of these kids have been violated.
There were 3,000. I didn't say. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't mean.
We can say many, or some of them, so that you maintain credibility about it. And I believe that there are only 700 of these kids that have not found their parents.
No, we're still taking them. We're in violation. They had to.
But you got to put these kids someplace.
There's over 15 so far.
They're still being separated from their parents. So that's what we were supposed to stop. It has not stopped.
But I don't know the circumstances. If the parents came in illegally, there are laws that says you can't come into the country illegally.
But that doesn't mean they got to be. That does not got to mean they got to be violated
until we overthrow the law.
No, but
that's not a law.
The law that they're referring to has been in place forever, and this has never taken place. But let's go back. Let me go back. There is a serial killer among these patrol people. He has killed 4 people, and you don't hear about it in the news, and you can check it. Has been on the news. It's been on CNN.
Makes a good story.
ABC. No, he is. He was a what do you call it? Border Patrol.
Border Patrol agent.
He had shot 4 people.
Women.
And this is all they found so far. And also there is another guy, and this is just 2 cases that I know of, and I only speak of cases that I know of. This guy was molesting the immigrants that he had in his council. So they don't even have a number for him yet. So this is just 2 cases that we've heard of. All I'm saying is we have never been this drastic before. They just ruled out yesterday, check it. They just ruled out yesterday that they said all of these new acts that we're doing is racially motivated.
I don't know whether everything is racially motivated.
Well, I'm just telling you what the judge said.
And the judge
yesterday, he just ruled that a lot of these things that they're doing for the immigrants is racially motivated.
And Mexicans are not part of the black race.
Sure they are.
No,
Sure
they are.
Yes,
racial is.
Some
But
of them are.
so
Hang on, guy.
Okay.
Mexicans are part of the white race.
Life began in Africa. I don't care what nobody says. All right? Life began in Africa.
But culture began in Mesopotamia.
Life began in Africa. So they just as black as
anything
we
on
are.
That's a color.
Well, it says on
the race
I'm
is
filling
different.
out an application since you want to be politically correct.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
If I'm filling out an application, it says white and then it says other. So you have to hit Hispanic, you have to hit black, you have to hit Asian. So white
But
is
those
only.
are cultures. Guys, get it
no.
right for once in
But
your
it's
life.
Those are just
race.
names.
It's a
one
race.
time.
Those are just names that
Yeah,
the
hang on.
Europeans have given
Yeah.
us.
You were being misled by what they put on the paper there.
No.
Mess
There
around
are
and don't
3
check your
basic
box, Henry.
races.
Go to
Negroid,
history.
Caucasoid, and Mongoloid.
Mess around
Check
and
the
not hit
history.
your box and see what happens.
But
You'll be on that bus to the Texas-Arizona border.
But guys, Mexicans enjoy a lot more of the white privilege than we do.
I don't have a platform
I have nothing
on
wrong with that.
I don't have a
And
platform on that, so I don't know anything about that.
They are some of the best workers that we have in the country.
I believe that.
Yes. And there's nothing that we can condemn them for.
And I'm not trying to.
And neither am I.
Let's
Neither
keep-
am
I'm
I.
not trying
Let's
to
keep them
condemn them.
associated when you talk about immigrants.
And they don't just work in the fields. There's doctors,
there's
lawyers,
doctors,
judges,
lawyers.
Sure.
legislatures.
That's a stereotype. And what it is,
Okay.
in order to suppress a group of people, you keep telling them, because this is what your president does. He keeps saying the same thing over. And for those who are weak-minded meaning taking in information without having any substance, then you change their mindset. And he keeps saying the same thing over again. The media's fake and all that stuff. And eventually, if you're a weak person, you believe
The
this
media
stuff.
in certain cases is weak.
And it's
And it
weak
does not
because
always there were times when the media did not come to the support of black people in this country. And they knew one party or the other was working against their benefit if you were black. And they did not side with that. And they did not create any justification for doing something different. The media is sometimes
But
flaky.
who runs the media?
right.
Who?
Who's in charge of the media?
Like what?
It's
Did
not
you know-
black folks.
Did you know that your president? Do you know the other day? Is it John Costa? Your president. He called on John Costa, I believe he is, and he said, "I will bow if you would just for once call on a woman." Because he doesn't, and when he calls on them, what did he say the other day? You're never thinking. He is.
Well, that was under certain circumstances.
No, it wasn't.
She
Out of
might
the
have
heart,
said
the
that.
mouth
I
speaking.
read that passage.
Out of the heart, the mouth speaking. When I think of something and I start blurting out stuff, I'm telling truth. I'm speaking truth. So
You
regardless-
hope you are, and not
I'm
just.
speaking what's in here, what's in my heart.
But that doesn't have to be the truth. The truth
It's
is
not the
based
truth.
upon.
But if that's what I believe,
It's based upon
it's
belief.
tainted.
Yeah,
It's tainted.
Okay.
Just like your president.
Yeah.
Tainted. With that,
Yeah.
we'll bring the In My Opinion show to a close. This is Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends saying until next time. Just wait and see what the In My Opinion show is going to have for you folks. Stay tuned because we're coming at you. Until next time, stay focused.